Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting data review video. My name is Brooks Robinson. Today, I'll be sharing with you guys something I've been working on for the better part of the semester. This was a data project that I started in conjunction with my Georgia Southern master's level course, as well as some of the leaders and professionals at my high school. So there's a lot to get in here today, so I'll just go ahead and begin. As you can see from the title of my presentation, we did a deep dive into our freshman class at our high school, specifically the freshman retention rates from first semester going into second semester here. This project has been something that's been in our school improvement plan for quite a while now. It's a SMART goal directly tied to our compliance, but it's something that has been worked on painstakingly through with a bunch of different people at our school, not just our administrative staff, but a lot of other leaders in the community, as well as freshman teachers, department heads, and so on. When I was choosing this project, I kind of wanted to go in two different directions. I had thought about possibly doing something with my EOC scores, teaching biology as a high school teacher, but that's something I've been around and around with so long. I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on it. I kind of wanted to get out of my comfort zone and do something a little bit more outreaching and something to help further my development as well. The template we were asked to use to create this project was Selena Fisk's Leading Data-Informed Change in Schools. I really enjoyed this read. It has a really deep insights on how to actually create a data team and how to get good, meaningful data from the people involved. When I first started selecting candidates, the administrative staff was an easy starting point because obviously I needed them to clear some of the things that I was going to be doing in this process. I also employed the help of some of the counselors in the guidance office, as well as our registrar, to get some attendance verification information. Our PBIS coach has been instrumental through this process because a lot of this is tied to our PBIS as far as the incentives and as far as our outcomes. We have a lot of disciplinary issues over our high school, and the PBIS program has been something that has definitely helped curb a lot of these disciplinary actions. Aside from the usual suspects, I also asked the department heads of each department in the school, as well as some specific teachers of freshmen, to be involved in this process along the way. I didn't make it mandatory for them. I know everyone's very busy, especially curriculum teachers, but a lot of people were very willing to help me out and jump in along the way. At the start of this project, there was a lot of data to sift through off the top. We had already collected a semester one failure report of all of the freshmen and at-risk students. So getting my hands on this data was pretty easy from the start, thanks to the help of our PBIS coach and our administrative staff for staying on top of this. The attendance reports that go along with this semester as well have been integral in figuring out exactly why students are not being successful. And obviously, if you don't come to school, it definitely impacts your success along the way. The PBIS data that we've collected from last semester into this semester definitely shows some ties to student success, as well as parent contact logs. Now, this is something that each teacher is asked to keep up with during the semester. I have my own that I'll show you in a little bit, but every teacher's is the same, very easy to follow, and we have a very clear culture of communication and outreach at our school, and we think that reaching out to the parents directly is a big, big help with all of this. Now, I know this is a lot to digest early on, and that's definitely how I felt when I dove into this project at first, but I wasn't ready to turn anything down once it came across my desk. I wanted to see everything and just kind of whittle it down from there. The things that really came to my eye further down the road were the semester one data as it correlated to our quarter three data that I will show you soon, and just seeing what students were on the list for the first semester that are at risk of being retained and are on the same trajectory this semester. I also compared some parent contact logs of freshman teachers from last semester and this semester just to see if there's any through lines with the parents that they have been contacting or the students that they've been talking to. In the end, I think all this data is important, and definitely this quote from Fisk backs it up with data being transparent. When everyone has access to these records and they can see clearly what needs to be done or what has been done along the way, I think it definitely adds to the value of our team and addressing what needs to be done next. I'm sure we've all seen data in a pretty frustrating format when it's not very easy to read and not very easy to follow. But luckily, a lot of the forms that we use over at our high school are very much the opposite of that. They're very easy, very well formatted, and very effective when it comes to actually finding the data that we want to use. Now, this is a copy of our parent contact log that I spoke on previously, but there's a lot of other data that we will see shortly in this presentation as well. We reviewed our PBIS data back in step 2. Our PBIS coach does a great job of utilizing that data and putting it out there plainly for everyone to see. The freshman data spreadsheets that are later in this presentation are very, very well done, alphabetical by last name of each student, class and teacher, easy to identify. It definitely helps us key in on those problem areas and students that need a little bit more support. There are some pretty clear trends as I started to review these semester 1 and semester 2 reports. A lot of the usual suspects in semester 1, the students that we had already identified as at risk of being retained, are already on their way to retention in semester 2 based off of our third quarter data collected back in March. This is kind of disheartening. You always want to see kids turn it around, and we've worked tirelessly to make sure that they are successful, but sometimes there are things that are out of our control. That'll be a clear theme in this video as well. Students that are usually failing one class usually are failing multiple classes. It's very rarely just the one. And the ones that are usually failing in these data sheets, they tend to either drop off by next time around, or by the end of the semester, they found a way to right the ship and kind of find their way to the finish line here. You'll see a clear trend between attendance and failures as well. Many of the students that are failing are missing double-digit days into the 10s and 20s, and clearly it's just very hard to create any continuity with these students, and it's very hard for students to be held accountable when they are not in school. As I sat down and started questioning some of these trends, I didn't want to go at it alone. I reached out there and started talking to everybody I could, specifically teachers of ninth graders. They had a lot of interesting things to say as far as their experiences, and many of them have been doing this for years, and they've had some historical data as well that they could share with me, and just some anecdotes that could kind of put things more plainly. But this input was very much appreciated, and I did a better job of organizing all of these ideas that you'll see later in the video as well. I also reached out to some of the other principals in the district of the middle schools. So we have 2 middle schools at our district that funnel into 1 high school. I was able to review some of that historical data from 8th grade and just some PBIS write-ups from them that kind of indicated a clear path as to the ones that were also struggling once they got to 9th grade. We can never really rule out any of these environmental factors as to why kids tend to travel down this path. I mean, there's a lot of things that are out of our control outside of school that obviously we wish were different, but again, we have to kind of put things in a broader perspective and address the things that we can directly control, which I think this quote from Fisk does a great job of addressing. Obviously, we always want our plans to go off without a hitch, but we all know that that's not realistic in the long run. Some things can be hard to digest, as they say here, but when things don't go our way, we just have to keep trying to find ways to truck ahead and maybe even change our direction if things are not showing clear improvement. Since this was still very early on in my project, and I was kind of on a tight time frame this semester for trying to implement this project, I chose the very clear path that our SIP lays out as far as our attainable goal of trying to narrow down our freshman retention rates by about 3%, which again, I think is very doable. And there's still some time on the clock here, but it's going to take a lot of work from me and everyone else. The conversations about our team when we were talking about what is within our power was very much powerful, no pun intended. Again, just being realistic with ourselves and knowing what we can and can't do was definitely something that we had to grab onto, and just keeping the students first. It's very easy to get tied up in the compliance and wanting to adhere to this compliance from the state. But when you're not putting the kids first, that can put you and everyone else in a bad position, because I don't think that you're operating from a place of good faith if you're not putting your students first. So now for the part that you've all been waiting for, my actual action plan that I put into action back in the middle of March. I've been following it as closely as I can throughout the remainder of the semester. With step 1, identifying the students that were at risk of failure and retention, as you saw from our spreadsheets earlier. Again, shout out my PBIS coach. She did a great job with those numbers. Step 2, reaching out to the parents of students who are at risk. I am a monster on the phones when it comes to calling parents, and a lot of our teachers are too, which made it much easier when I started to compile all of the parent contacts that we had made this semester. And I also took some liberty of filling in the gaps for to parents that had not been contacted. Working with our PBIS coach even further, I tried to implement some incentives for student-based success. These incentives were directly related to our grades as well, not just behavior. Students had to be failing no more than 1 class to be eligible for some of these incentives, and those that were failing too were taken off the list. So we'll see how that works out in a minute. But step 4 was just to monitor student growth and just see how things progressed as we made it to the end of our project here. When it came to making the change, I mentioned about the shared parent contact log for freshmen. I really enjoyed this process just because the community outreach part is so important for me. Talking to these people one-on-one and just telling them that we truly do care about their children. That usually goes very, very far with the parents in our community. As I've mentioned several times now, our PBI's coach has been integral in this process, just collaborating with her and thinking of ways that we can maybe better our situation or even try to smooth things over with our plan. She has been very, very awesome throughout this entire process. Our advisement blocks, we meet every, I want to say 3 to 4 weeks. We have our schedule set up in a way that makes about a 25-minute session every day, usually for remediation, but we call it battle block. Some of these days are meant for advisement teachers to meet with their advisement groups. I specifically have a freshman group this year, which makes it perfect for this project. And some of the kids that are on the list are actually in my advisement group. So those kids seem to be making some progress along with the other ones that were mentioned. I also took the liberty of creating a freshman teacher survey towards the end of this, just to kind of pick people's brains about what their experience was teaching freshmen, but even more specifically teaching this group of freshmen and how it has been better, worse, comparable, completely different, just kind of seeing it from all angles. But I tried to make it as simple as possible with these 3 very quick questions here, which I'm sure people appreciated the swiftness of. So when it comes down to it, how did everyone perform? How did it turn out? As of April 18th, which was our last quarter summary of student success, with the 120 kids that were failing early on in March, that was our freshman students, about 107 students are now failing at least one class. So we've seen a drop off of about 13 kids. When it comes to failing grades, 211 courses that were currently failed about 6-7 weeks ago, now down to 198. So it's clear trend has been decreasing here. What you'll see in the bottom part here, we have 18 students removed, but 16 students were added. So essentially a straight flip-flop there, but also with 19 students progressing and 21 regressing, it's almost like a game of tug of war. Like as soon as one goes down, the other one comes up. You might even be able to compare it to whack-a-mole, just the way that when one goes down, the other one will pop right back up. So it's pretty interesting to see these trends and just how the data will evolve over time. So I guess what you want to know now is, what did I learn from this entire process? And the short answer is a lot. As I've mentioned in my other videos, data analysis has not always been my strong suit, but it's something that I've distinctly tried to work on this semester, and I think I've definitely seen some growth in myself. One thing, the biggest thing probably, is that processes like this take a lot of time, and it's going to have to be a continuous process for us to get the results that we're looking for. There's so many moving pieces in this project, not just the people involved, but also the types of students that we work with. As I mentioned, when one goes down, one pops right back up as far as failures go. So it's very hard to kind of pinpoint and navigate which students need support and which students are more independent. I guess in the long run, you would want to support every student, but as you all know, some students need more support than others. Once again, the community outreach portion of this project was probably my favorite, just because at my deepest depths, I really enjoy talking to people and getting to know people, and getting to know the parents of these freshmen and just hearing their stories and their struggles, their independent struggles, both personal and professional. It's been something that has been heartwarming for me, just knowing that they in turn care about us, and of course we care about them. But I think just strengthening those community bonds along with what we're trying to do is very invaluable for the whole process. To bring it on home here with this Fisk quote, we have to do everything from the standpoint of our students. Again, I mentioned it earlier. If you're not operating from a place of good faith with your students, I'm not exactly sure what you're doing in the long run, right? It has to be a continuous process. It has to come from a place of love, hope, and respect that you want to see within not just teachers, but also school leaders in your environment. Thank you all for watching. This whole process has been something that's been very enriching for me, and I hope that you were able to take something away from it too. Until next time, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. See ya.